Alright, so I got my new setup. I like this much better. So we got just this chamber, the water reservoir is this basically, and then it goes in from the bottom of it to the bottom of the HHO generator. And then the outlet comes up to the top of the pipe, or the chamber, and then the gases will flow out to the top and it should recirculate through the system. I'm about to mix my potassium hydroxide. I think I'm gonna just do probably maybe like a half a teaspoon. So I'm just gonna do a little rough estimation with that. So I'm gonna dump my water in, distilled water, so you guys know. I always use distilled water for this. So I'm gonna just do a good amount here. Always put the water in first so it doesn't get a hot reaction when you dump the potassium hydroxide in. Come on. Kind of tight. Obviously, I'm just rough guessing. It's kind of hard to measure it when it's flakes like this. You can always do a little bit at a time. A little bit. All right. I'll say that's good. I really should stir this up. Really don't have anything at the moment to stir it, but I don't want to use aluminum. That would be stupid. Let's see. Crap. Need some plastic. Not a good idea either. Didn't think this through very well, did I? Damn. What do I have laying around that could work? I guess I'll just make a new pen for my thing here. So stir that up. I know I should be wearing gloves, and I do have them, but I'm just gonna be careful. And eye protection, but I'm being very careful. Looks like it's pretty much dissolved. Alright. Let's put that there. Now when I fill it up, the water will directly pour into the cells. Probably gonna need more water, more than likely. Yeah, that's not enough. It's gonna need more, but it's filling up. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need more than that. So I'll mix another batch here. I'm just gonna set this down in the meantime. I don't need a whole lot more. I just need enough to fill up the reservoir to where it needs to be. So I'm gonna say about half. And I'm gonna dump half of what I've done before. And I'm using a 12-volt system. Right, that's good. No exact science. Doesn't need to be exact. I mean, if it was exact, it would be a little better, yeah, obviously. But I don't care that much. As long as it's enough to make it work well, that's all I care. I flushed out my system already with pure distilled water just to flush it through. I did it twice to clean out everything from the last time. Alright. So hopefully this is enough to fill her up. Looking like it's full there. Could use a little more yet. I could just tap off the rest with distilled water if I need to. It'll dilute it down a little bit, but not substantially. Alright, we're up to the hose here, and could use a little more yet. Now I'm just going to top it off with just distilled water. Oops, splashing it all over. Good thing that I didn't splash my eye, fuck. Okay. Alright, I'm just going to leave that for now. Get this out of the way. This out of the way. Now I'm just gonna put some power to it. Just see how well it works just as is right now. I think I'm gonna want to put a little bit more water in here though. What are we looking like here? Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to move this down so you guys can see a little better. This is temporary. Alright, so now I'm gonna put positive and the negative. See how aggressive it is. Don't seem too bad. Alright, so I'm gonna let this run for a little bit. You can see this stream coming out. You can see that. We got some good gas production, looks like. The only thing I don't like about using potassium hydroxide is it gets really foamy if you have too much, obviously. But even still, I feel like it's too much. You can see that stream. Those gases are very explosive. Nothing's getting hot. Shouldn't really get that hot. If I have too much potassium hydroxide, then it's gonna pull too much amperage. But I have a good mixture, I believe, for this. It might get a little warm after running like a half an hour or so, but it's not gonna be like extremely hot. It won't be boiling the water. Hopefully not. Because I know I've had some mixtures in the past where I had way too much electrolyte. It was basically boiling the water. But it does get hot after a while of running, obviously, because you're the chemical reaction happening. But it's starting to get that siphoning pumping action like it's supposed to, which is good. And then I'll put my cap on here. I know I should have a bubbler, but this is a pretty strong chamber. I mean, it's like quarter-inch thick. So and then I'll have my cap on here. And then I'll be able to. I'm probably still gonna put a bubbler next to the side and then run it down and then have the actual hose coming out to filter out the little bit of potassium hydroxide within the solution, because it does use a little bit of it leaves a little bit of vapor, and I don't want to be burning that vapor, especially if I'm using it indoors, which is not a great idea to use it indoors, but I've done it. I've had no issues, but it only takes one issue till something happens. It's true. Yeah, it's running pretty good, I believe, for the first little mix here. And then as it warms up, it actually gets more efficient. In this cell, I believe, let's see, we have your 2 positives and your 3 negatives. So you got the hydrogen on the negative side and the oxygen on the positive side. So usually, if you don't use stainless, the positive side would be the side that gets oxidized because it's producing the oxygen. So we got the plate here, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plates in between the 2 plates to separate the voltage going between them. So if you take 12 divided by 6, that would only be 2 volts per cell, and that's the optimal voltage to be splitting water, from what I remember reading. And that's why they designed it this way, to optimize the efficiency of water splitting and to reduce the amperage draw. Because if you just did 2 plates right next to each other that close, it would pull so much amperage, and it'd be boiling the water more than producing electricity, or I mean, producing hydrogen and oxygen. So you need those plates in between to step the voltage down in between each cell. So it basically it's basically like a resistor. So if you have a charge plate between these two with all the 6 cells in between, it'll step it down 2 volts per cell, or per plate, and it adds basically just like a resistor value between each plate till it gets to the like the 2 end ones. So basically it's just a resistor, more or less. Well, yeah, it's running great. Decided to use like sink hose. I feel like it's better for higher temperatures. Not to say it's the greatest thing for highest temperatures. There's better materials, but I got this. It's stronger. It's got that braiding in there, and I'm pretty confident with this thing ain't gonna explode. It's pretty thick. Ew, get some out of my hands. My bad. But I should do a current test. I don't have my. I do have some of my meters actually out. Maybe in the future I want to do a current test and see how many watts it's consuming. I am kind of curious actually to see what the power consumption is. I bet you it's around maybe 50 watts. If that, hard to say. Now I'm curious. The only time it gets foamy is when it's getting like hot. So once it starts to heat up, the foaminess starts to become a problem. So far it's not getting too bad, but I am just starting it up. It's not even warm yet. It takes a good half an hour for it to get warm. Wires aren't even warm at all either, so we're not pulling much current, which is good. I know I could blow off those bubbles, but I don't really feel like blowing my eardrums out and then getting potassium hydroxide all over the place. Not the greatest idea. It'd be freaking loud down here too. Don't feel like doing that. But yeah, this is the overall build. More stuff coming. I still have my torch and stuff that I made before. I got a flashback arrestor made for hydrogen, oxyhydrogen. I bought it. And then all I did is just took a torch tip from like a standard torch, and then I threaded the end, and then put a welding tip at the end to get the different diameter holes. So I have different options for hole sizes. I can just swap in and out by the thread size. So it's kind of nice. This was a really good design that I had. So that's for the torch anyway, but I kind of want to do some explosion videos, as I was talking about before, with a high voltage capacitor discharge into a bottle of HHO gas. That I'm going to be curious, but I'm first going to do a high voltage discharge with the large capacitor to see what that's like, with the sound and everything. And then I'll do another one with just hydrogen with a normal fuse that blows it up. And then I will do a line of wire running through the water bottle, and then I'm going to discharge it into that wire and then have it explode. So the wire is going to explode inside of the HHO gas, which I'm just curious what's going to happen with that. I think it's going to be freaking nuts. Or it'll just be no different than a fuse, you know? Who knows? But the arc flash inside that bottle to ignite the HHO gas is going to be massive, comparing just like a normal fuse, you know? But anyway, video's starting to get kind of long, so I'll cut it off here, guys. I'll keep you guys updated on my progress in this. See you later.